the smelly giant. Wyoming. A cold stream that flows from the base of Mount Mimi turns and pulls and ripples towards the water by the village and the school that all the children of that place liked. That is, except to bear, but to better. It wasn't because he was small. It wasn't because of the way he looked. It was because of his smelly feet. Everyone teased to butter. Pooh, think, to butter. To butter. The spring seasons came and went. To butter grew quickly. He was soon taller than the trees, and could peek over the mountain tops. Every bit of him was huge, and his huge feet gave off a huge smell. Even the new spring fragrances couldn't hide it. No one wanted to be around him. The summer seasons came and went. Before long, the butter towered over everything, and that's when everyone called him. To Jem the giant. The more he ate, the bigger he grew. The bigger his feet got, the more they smelled, and the summer heat wave made them worse. His world became more lonely because of the extreme smell that came from his huge feet as they grew and grew. Until James splashed in the river, the fish floated to the surface. When birds tried to sing, they screeched. When bugs visited at night, they passed out. Even flowers were wilted until Jem walked past them. The autumn seasons came and went, until Jem kept growing. He ate and ate, then grew and grew. The autumn dew seeped in between his toes and made his feet smell musty. So Jem did everything he could to help people. But no one wanted to be his friend. At last, the people said, "You're so big, and you eat too much. Go think at some other place." So James and walked away. He looked at his village one last time, and the tear fell onto his chest. And the season passed by, until Jem went far away. Then one day, went over ships and tore across the countryside and uprooted trees and crops. They destroyed homes, and the people ran for cover. Because Tojam the giant's ears were so big, he heard our screams and ran to the village. He jumped the rivers and the valleys to the village, shattered the people in his arms, and guided the winds away. The village was saved. The wind had stopped, but the people wouldn't let them stay. His head hanging low in despair. And the giant turned and walked away, and as he left, the birds followed him back to his home. More seasons passed, and Tojam was still alone. Floods came, and he heard the people yelling again. With giant strides, he raised a wave heading towards the village. Tojem the giant lay down to block the path of the wave that was flooding the village. The wave crashed against his back, and the people were saved again. But when it had gone, the people didn't want him to stay. The tuna followed him home. The tuna followed him home. A loud summer came, and from far away, told them the people complaining the lake has dried up. The soil is past. Nothing will grow. This time, Tojem scooped the snow from the mountains and hurried to the village. The melted snow trickled through his fingers and flowed into the lake. But when the lake was full, the people still wouldn't let him stay. With his head hanging low in despair, Tojem the giant turned and headed for home. And this time, the insects followed. He felt hurt deep inside, and his giant heart ached. Why wouldn't the people accept him? Jealous. This is Tojem got home. He heard rumbling. Awoke. The ground shook and then orange flash burst into the sky. Lava streamed towards the village. Tojem stood still. He thought about everything he'd done, and he was still alone. He thought, I won't help them. But then he heard the people screaming, and he didn't think anymore. He ran. Fiery rocks pelted him. But he knelt down, leaned over and gathered the people under him. When everything went quiet, the people came out, but Tojem couldn't get up. He was covered in lava, and his heart had stopped beating. The people saw his backbone was the ridged pillar of a great house. His arms were bargeboards. His ribs were rafters, and his skin had wrinkled into beautiful patterns. The people called the whole house Tojem the giant, and this became the heart of the village. The people of the village gathered inside Tojem, the great house, and they talked about how to help the people. They had finally come together. They had not beat as one. Their heartbeats gave life to the great house. Outside! Vegetables! Trees and flowers grew around the great house. Tojem used to be so smelly. Flowers blossomed, sending their sweet fragrance far and wide. With the rising of maturity at midwinter, the people told stories about Toe Jam and remembered how brave and kind he was. And sometimes they glimpsed a smile on Toe Jam's face and a twinkle in his poor eyes. But he stood proud as the tickle and watched over the people below. The children who had jeered at Toe Jam had grown. The heartless adults who had sent away Toe Jam had aged. But he wondered whether the children would grow to be considerate towards others. Only time would tell.